So this is quite possibly the best micro four thirds camera that you can buy in 2025. So let's go and take some photographs with it. But before we get into taking the photos, let's talk about the boring things like specs that people like. So my omsystem OM1 Mark II has a 20 megapixel 4/3 sized sensor. It features 13.8 stops of dynamic range. It's actually pretty good in that department. It has a stacked backside illuminated sensor, which helps to reduce noise. It helps with low light performance, and the way the sensor is stacked, it also helps with speed and readout from the sensor, enabling some of the more fun features that you're going to find on a camera like this. So let's go use one of the fun features, and we're going to start off with one of my favourites. So if I show you the front of this camera, you can see there are no ND filters. Look, no ND filters on the front of said camera, because I can turn them on over here in the menu. This is live ND shooting. It's absolutely fantastic for long exposure photography. So you can see we have ND 128 turned on, 7 stops. Here's the composition on the back of the camera. The shooting settings are 60 seconds, f10 and ISO 250. I don't know why auto ISO is turned on, so let's solve that right now. There we go. We're a stop under exposure. Let's open up the aperture a little tiny bit. Tell you what, we'll go f8 and we'll overexpose by 0.7 of a stop, and the histogram looks good. But we can take a long exposure photograph in camera, producing a raw file with no ND filters. Here we go. I'll show you this first image. So how much fun was that? A long exposure photo in camera with no filters. Now let's get real for a second about this. I've said this in videos before, it's not going to replace physical ND filters. It'll get you out of a spot, it'll get you out of a bind, and it's certainly never going to produce the effects of a polarizing filter. But for a bit of fun, if you're out, you don't have your filters, you can do long exposure photography in camera with this camera. It's a good bit of fun, but there's also a second side to this. So I don't know how this has happened, but somebody has placed a round filter kit on the front of my camera. And in my imagination, because it's a grey cloudy day, the sky is so much brighter than the sea. I can't put a graduated filter on. What am I going to do? We'll use Live GND. You can see it on the back of the camera. Let's have a look, see how it works. So you can see in the top corner there, we have GND4, a 2-stop soft edge grad-on. And look at it, I can move it. I can twist it like so, and I can also make it go up and down by using my fingers like that. You can see the effect it has there. It's similar to Live ND, only we're choosing the portion of the screen that it lands on, like you would an actual graduated filter. But let's go ahead, let's take a photograph, because the sky obviously really needs this, because it's a really bright sunny day. Anyway, 60 seconds, f7.1. Ooh, that's a bit overexposed now. 60 seconds, f9, ISO 200. Let's have a look. Let's see what a live GND does. So when I show you the photo, pay attention to the very top of the sky. But of course, we're not just limited to 2 stops, and we're not just limited to soft edge. 1, 2, 3 stops, all in the camera, soft, medium, and hard edged. A hell of a lot of combinations for a graduated filter. If, like me, you use a round filter kit, again, it will get you out of a pinch on them times you just need to bring a sky back. It's a great little feature, and one that is certainly underrated and not spoken about enough. So long exposure photography is my favourite kind of photography. It's the genre that I feel I'm best at, and it's the one that I do the most. And both of the features of this camera that I've shown you so far are somewhat geared up around that. But it's not the only kind of photography I've done with it. So here's a few of my favourite photographs that I've taken with my OM1 Mark II over the past 6 months. Alright, so how does 2 long exposure photography features mean that I think that this is the best Micro Four Thirds camera available in 2025? I mean, let's be honest, it's not the only camera that can do both of those things. But as each generation of camera comes along, and the software and the firmware and the ideas get improved upon, of all of the cameras that I've used that have these 2 features, it's the camera that does it the best. The idea has been improved on, the idea has been worked on, and the implementation has definitely been made a lot easier. And this is the only camera that I'm aware of currently that does actually go down to 7 stops with the Live ND. But it's not the only thing that this camera can do. As I said earlier on in the intro, it has a 20 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor. Alright, not all that impressive. But because of the 8.5 stops of image stabilization, because of the backside illuminated and stacked sensor, the speed in the readout enables you to take handheld photographs with up to 50 megapixels of resolution. And if you throw the camera on a tripod, you can up that to 80. And the camera is still producing a raw file that you can play with and manipulate in post-processing. If you like macro photography, the camera's got built-in focus stacking. Yes, the output is only a JPEG, but the camera does retain all of the raw files, so you can throw them into software when you get home, and you can manipulate it however you like. But the stacked JPEG image, it gives you an idea, it lets you know that your stack has been successful. I could go out in the middle of the day with this thing, throw it into live composite mode, throw a light ND filter on there, and essentially do a long exposure photograph for as long as I want. I can use live time and live bulb. I can see long exposure photographs in real time on the LCD screen, updating every few seconds. I can see how the image is being produced. I can see how it's turning out. I can see if the idea that I have is the one that is being reproduced. 8.5 stops of image stabilization. Not bad, is it? So I've just spoken about this camera's ability to do high resolution photography. So let's take 2 photographs. Let's take one photograph at the native 20 megapixels, and we'll take a second photograph at 80 megapixels. We're going to focus on this post in front of me. There's all kinds of little details on front of it. It's been battered, it's been weathered, and it's got all kinds of fun little textures. So I thought I'd make a good little point just to show the fine details in the image. So let's take the first photograph. This is the 20 megapixel photograph. 10 seconds f4 and ISO 200. I thought stuff it, we'll do it as a long exposure anyway. We'll smooth out all of the water in the background. That's taken. So now I'm going to put this into high resolution mode. Tripod mode is on. Double checking we are 80 megapixel fine plus raw. I'm going to take the same photograph again. Now this is going to take a little over a minute because it's got to take 8 photographs, and it's going to stack them all together and produce the 80 megapixels. The sensor is going to do a little shift around, a little dance, and that's how it works. The benefits are of this, I am told, I'm yet to see, that it improves dynamic range. It does help with noise performance. So let's remember, this camera has a backside illuminated sensor, and we're also stacking. How much cleaner is this photograph going to be compared to the original photograph? And how much more fine detail is there going to be on the top of the post? I'll zoom in on the photos and I'll show you both side by side as well. Here they are. So please just excuse the wonky lighting here, but you can see just how sexy that sky has become in the background. Live GND to the rescue. Let's take a photograph. As usual. Yeah, I'm wet. As usual. I went in the sea. The camera survived. I didn't. Well, hopefully, this looks alright. The sky was with the two-stop soft dead grad, the rest of it ND filter. 4 seconds, very wet. So lastly, and I guess the most important reason why this is the best Micro Four Thirds camera in 2025, it's because it's mine. Now, that may sound a little bit silly, but it's the truth. It's my camera. It complements the way that I like to shoot. It has features in there that I found useful, and it has features in there that complement my photography. And that should be the most important thing about finding a camera. None of this brand nonsense, none of this sensor size nonsense. Go out there and just find the camera that's right for you. And that's where I landed with this OM1 Mark II. It's a camera that complements, it's a camera that suits, it's a camera that helps. And that's important. Here's this photograph. Now, of course, all of this is just my own opinion, but I'd like to know what you feel is the best camera in 2025, be it Micro Four Thirds or anything else. I'm sure there'll be people out there watching this who don't shoot Micro Four Thirds, so let me know in the comments below what you feel is the best camera this year. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and a thumbs up. It does help the video and it helps to bring new viewers to see my content. If you're new here, you've seen me for the very first time, or you've seen me before and you haven't quite yet committed to pressing that subscribe button, press it down below and you'll see more Micro Four Thirds nonsense from myself every single week. So until the next time, I'm just going to love you and leave you and say peace and goodbye.